Fabulous, because a new report says the team has spoken to former Jets coach Adam Gase about the vacant OC spot. I'm sure Jamal Adams
Brandon, tell me it ain't true.
Thrilled. Brandon, we talked yesterday about a good fit in Seattle for Russ. What is on the line for Russell Wilson and the Seahawks if they do not get this right?
There's going to be a lot of sleepless nights in Seattle if Pete Carroll continues to botch the Russell Wilson era after the Legion of Boom. This is all bad in Seattle. This is a bigger story than we think. I just go back to Pete Carroll's exit interview. He said, we need to run the ball more. Let's go back to when Russell Wilson had that, 2-3 game skid. What did Pete Carroll do? He said, no, we're going to go back to running the ball. We're going to go back to playing Seattle football. Well, did Steve Kerr ever ask Steph Curry, look, stop shooting the ball when he missed the shot or if he had a bad game or 2 or 3? No, you don't do that. You can't put shooters in the box. They have a breakdown in philosophy. Pete Carroll wants to run the ball on 1st and 2nd and 3rd down. That's what he wants to do. He wants to win the game in the 4th quarter. Russell Wilson is a guy in his prime that's looking at his stats and looking at his legacy and is like, I can do more. I want to be able to leave this game knowing that I gave it my all. How do you say Russell Wilson is a top 5 quarterback, but then you're saying, oh, the best way for us to win is hand the ball off? I've never seen I don't know any top 5 quarterback, whether, year to year or in the history of our game, that just handed the ball off. Like, these guys throw the ball. They throw to win. So in this era, if you're going to ask your franchise quarterback to throw the ball on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down, you're going to have a big problem. And then also, there's another big problem brewing in Seattle, I believe. DK Metcalf. Look at the last game and his antics and his emotions spilling out of control on the sideline. Why is that? Why does the wide receiver always get that tag being malcontent? They're always getting that diva tag. Well, because your success is in the hands of everyone else. You're not getting that guy the ball. He's looking on the other side of the field, seeing Jalen Ramsey, and he's like, this guy shut me down week after week after week. It's my time to shine and actually dominate. But everybody on TV is talking about, look at this matchup. This kid can't get it done. So you know what Jalen Ramsey's going to continue to do if DK Metcalf is not given the opportunity? He's going to continue to shut him down. And then DK Metcalf is going to continue to have these outbursts. DK Metcalf is the next Megatron. So you're going to ask the next Megatron to go block on 1st, 2nd, 3rd down, when on the 1st down you're given the best opportunity to win, because that's when you usually get one-on-one matchups. I think there's going to be a lot of sleepless nights in Seattle, Nick, because Pete Carroll is botching this era. This is no longer the Legion of Doom. You don't have Earl Thomas. You don't have those guys on the other side. The only way you can get it done is have a change of philosophy and say, we're going to win and lose with Russell Wilson. Adam Gase is your answer? No, you need to go get somebody who have a balanced approach and know how to utilize his skill sets to the best of their ability.
Keep Brandon on the screen. Brandon, I got a quick question for you. I meant to ask you this before the show, and I just couldn't look it up. I couldn't remember. Your last NFL catch, who threw it to you?
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. You were in Seattle for some time.
That's right. That was my last. That was my real last cup of tea.
There. Right, your real last.
Absolutely.
I know you were other places, but your last game played in the NFL was with Seattle, and you have some relationships there. Is that fair to say? Made some friends along the way.
Absolutely, fair to say. Fair to say, 100%.
Okay. America, Brandon Marshall is telling you the Seattle Seahawks are on the precipice of a major issue. America, unlike Brandon Marshall's terrible Nets take, listen to him on this page. It is something sincere and serious, and it is not just... there's a lot of things we could be talking about today. LeBron James missed a game-winning 3 last night. Didn't make the show. I fought for it to make the show. I said, hey, Clutch Gene, we got to talk about it. There's conference championship games this weekend, and we're not talking about it because this right here is a bubbling, massive story. And it was a bubbling, massive story before the name Adam Gase got involved with it. But now, while that Adam Gase's name is involved with it, I feel like we are on the brink of, pardon me, a disaster in Seattle, not that dissimilar from the one we're seeing play out in Houston, even if it doesn't have any of the very real-world social justice tentacles that one does. Because if you are deciding not to empower your future first ballot Hall of Fame Super Bowl champion quarterback and instead further empower your soon-to-be 70-year-old head coach to play the game the way he thinks it should be played rather than modern NFL football, I think you're going to have a major issue, and I think that is why Brandon is sounding this alarm. So I don't know what you do, Seattle, but I do know this, John Schneider and the Allen family. You have a talk with Pete Carroll, and you ask him if he wants to modernize the offense. And if he doesn't, and he's stubborn in his approach, then you might have to have a very uncomfortable conversation with Pete Carroll about whether or not it makes sense there, because you cannot sour the well on the relationship with the best player in franchise history, Russell Wilson, Brandon Marshall.
Yeah, but the challenge and the issue, Nick, is Pete runs everything there. Pete has all the power. I was there. So, yeah, I have relationships with a couple of those guys in that locker room, a couple of people in that organization. I love John Snyder. When I was leaving Denver, I was the first guy that they called. They wanted me to come for that rebuild. I end up going to Miami, my dumb butt. I love Coach Pete Carroll. I was there. I was able to have those conversations with him. And I had those conversations with Russell. I used to walk around saying, Russ, you're going to be the MVP. I used to call him MVP. I didn't even call him Russell Wilson. I'd be like, what's up, MVP? What's up, MVP? That's what I would call him. So I know his mentality. I haven't had conversations with him now. I'm looking at DK Metcalf and his emotions on the sideline and his antics. I'm looking at what Pete Carroll has said, in the middle of the season when Russ threw 3 picks, we're going to run the ball more. You would never hear Steve Kerr say that about his shooter and Steph Curry. I'm looking at after the year, you fire Shoddy. What does Shoddy do? You're the ones that's telling Shoddy to run the ball over and over again. If I'm in Russell Wilson's shoes, I am going to this team right now and saying, look, if you botch this situation, if you don't embrace what I want to do, I'm gone. You have to let me go. It's better for both of us.
Okay, so Brandon, here's my question, and this is why I found sort of the reporting on this so surprising. We know that Pete Carroll is a high IQ guy. He's a high football IQ guy. He's also a high EQ guy. So it feels very dissimilar from what's happening in Houston, where they seem blind to the emotional aspect of their personnel. So to me, this feels like a little brush fire that Pete Carroll can very quickly stamp out by simply sitting down with Russell Wilson and be like, hey, let's talk about our plan moving forward. Granted, the way that we did do it got us to 2 Super Bowls and won 1. We actually lost the other one because we did throw the ball, to be 100% honest. I should have run it. I told you, I should have was right on that one. But it feels like this could be very simply solved by just sitting down like, hey, here's a list of people that we're thinking about for offensive coordinator. Did you make a list? Let's figure it out and hire somebody that you like. Do you think it's that simple?
A couple things here. One, I do think Russ is probably a part of those conversations. If he wasn't, we will be hearing about it like we're hearing about Deshaun Watson. So I do think he's there. Yeah. But the issue is Pete Carroll is like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. This is his philosophy. He won a Super Bowl this way. Yep. Play really good defense and then run the ball. But they don't have a really good defense now. Who you have is a top 3 quarterback in Russell Wilson. How about we do this, Pete Carroll? Let's change our approach here. Let's go draft offensive lineman. In Russell Wilson's 9 years, they drafted 1 first-rounder. Let's also implement a running game, a passing game that is complementary and it makes sense. You can't say, guy, Go win the game for us in the fourth quarter, but then in the first, second, and third, you're saying we're going to run the ball. That's the best way to win. It makes absolutely no sense. And I will also push back on you with this one thing. As far as like high football IQ here, there, yes, he knows the game. Absolutely. It's Pete Carroll. But where his place of genius lies is leadership, getting everybody to move in the same direction. He breaks up he breaks up all of the tension every single day. That's who, the monotony. That's who Pete Carroll is, Wilds.
Yeah, maybe Will Ferrell.
All right, as we continue to watch that situation in Seattle, we got to get back to the NBA. Nets with a big win over Giannis and the Bucks. Still not enough to convince Nick they can come out of the East. He's going to tell you the big reason why. It's next. It's First Things First.
A lot of sleepless nights in Seattle if Pete Carroll continues to botch the Russell Wilson era after the Legion of Boom. This is all bad in Seattle. This is a bigger story than we think. I just go back to Pete